Are you kidding me? Well, wow, okay. So, I've been muted. I figured out how to unmute my microphone. That was weird. But, yeah. Welcome back to Grey Ace Attorney Chronicles. And the last episode we got accused of murder, and we met a few interesting characters. Takatsuchi, whose name is a pun similar to Winston Payne and Gaspin Payne, and is clearly an ancestor to them. You have Yes Sir No Sir, which is clearly a pun of Yes Sir No Sir. And it's on I Don't Know Sir, which is I Don't Know Sir. And then you have Kirio Corrector, which is, well, a play on Kirio Collector. And then there's Giselle Brett, who we have yet to meet, who, well, Giselle, it happens to be the name of the bullet that shot Dr. Watson in Sherlock Holmes. And, well, Brett, well, that should be obvious, it's Bullet. But, you know, in an Asian kind of accent. Anyways, 2nd November, 11:38 a.m., Supreme Court of Judicature, Defendant's Antechamber 5. Excellent work reading, SK. That was superb. My heart was pounding out of my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat, your eyes popping and your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew, you started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it, it's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't want to ever see the inside of a courtroom ever again. Anyways, it looks like we've exposed your phantom lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain, is she? That's why I've been trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but I have my powers of observation. Or one thing I'm sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about that gentlewoman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene. Did we see what happened with that? No. I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table, I noticed there was a gun lying on the floor, just after I bent down and picked it up. Bang. Bang goes the dynamite. I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot came from. The waiter had run over to me, looking white as a sheet. He bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikotoba. Well, seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you've planned this from the start. You arranged things so I wouldn't be able to act as the lawyer in the trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so, which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, makes no difference. Or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend avert the whole worst crisis of his life. You shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to stay overseas. What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma? Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say, I very much would want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Yes, I did. As you were probably aware, Dr. John Wilson was a visiting professor at Yume. And it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're going into battle. The victim is a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement to our police bureau went to extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt your pair will put up a good fight right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then, I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Defendant Naruhodo, court recess is over. Please make your way back into the courtroom. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and just deal this decisive blow before those old fossils know what to hit them. Kazuma? What? Thank you, really. What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed in me, I'm fairly sure I would have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. However, we cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. Yeah, you can't treat me like one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. 22nd of November, 12:09 p.m. Supreme Court of Judicature, Courtroom 2. The court hereby resumes the trial of Rhinos by good old Turk. It was passed down between all judges and the prosecutor Ouchie. Have you managed to subpoena the witness?
Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to his young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny by the government.
Sorry. Want the government to scrutinize. It's their job. It's nothing to worry about.
It's highly unlikely that the good relations we forged with Great Britain will emerge from the trial unscathed.
Well, you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke.
What do you mean?
The secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is that what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of just Japan or of England?
Shut up! Shut up, you jumped up rookie boy! You and your new friend know nothing. Nothing of the situation the nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with a great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more crucial. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures.
I won't deny that I'm no expert, but I'm just a student, and one could arguably study harder, too. But standing here in the Supreme Court, there's one thing I feel strongly. A country that fails to uphold its truth and its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror.
You little brats!
Thank you, Counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system, exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett.
Yes. Your Excellency!
Oh.
Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land.
Tea! Someone bring English tea, and a turkey sandwich for me. In England, no discussions take place without tea!
Is that true?
Heck if I know.
So, can we possibly generally just see your name and occupation for the court?
Of course.
Not you.
My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as that waiter at the Wood Carnival.
Yes, we all know you already.
Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first.
Is that true?
No idea. Stop asking me. More importantly, a little earlier you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are one thing you're sure of. Oh, yeah, I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Inosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty.
So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please.
It's a point.
I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but what?
The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student, currently enrolled in UMA University's medical.
Oh, I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said. It was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song.
As far as I can tell, the detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yeah, I agree. You obviously do fine in England. Cosma, your English doesn't rally you. Her English doesn't rally you at all. Or you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. Court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago, a restaurant called Le Carnaval, a restaurant called Le Carnaval, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says, yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that lengthy stuff, not too much for yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. Blah 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 blah. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one engineering her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau.
Well now, dear lady, would it be so kind to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be your six splendid eyes got sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps?
Apparently it was the very frightening indeed, and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment the accused, standing right here in the courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. I shot him with cold blood. Order in the court.
Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolute conclusive witness statement.
Well, looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Can you tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you saw? frightening and sorrowful sight. Bum, 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 bum. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only, a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor. They got into a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I can have been the culprit. This is a condemning testimony. No, I didn't make any kind of argument with the professor.
Objection!
Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this Snow White angel. I'm sure that even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine whose words the court will believe. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you'll need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. Took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before the report and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Bretthead was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so, on the day of question, the lady was wearing the same outfit she is today. As you can see, there's nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit. Unless and until the precise location where the witness is to have hidden a gun can be known, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. That's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. Dude, don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun. You're right about that, which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. To do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. The defense will now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency.
Yes!
After 2 p.m., in fact. That's really quite late for lunch, huh?
Objection!
You don't need to keep up with the latest fashions from Britain, do you? Late luncheons are in vogue. Isn't that right? For one, that's a French word. No. Decisive English no has quite the sting to it. The gentlewoman is currently working under the victim's research laboratory, it seems. So it was apparently a daily occurrence that they would have lunch together. But on the day of question, the victim had another appointment to the clinic first. Yes, which we can prove from the medical card that was submitted as evidence earlier. That's right. Miss Brett and the victim went to lunch following the victim's treatment, which is why it was so late. Yes, that all makes perfect sense. Such wonderful logic. What a shining example of English intelligence this fine gentlewoman has. So you both arrived at the restaurant. What happened next?
Yes!
He was unable to eat, you say. And that was because he just had a tooth removed from Hada Clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of the fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard it from the professor that the professor was having some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the beefsteak pictured here, is that right? That's right, yes. The print you had there shows the table exactly how it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left. Dear me, how harrowing experience. To have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear that I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the victim was unable to eat, but he had just been given the permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. Each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? Very meaningful, I'm sure. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us what it is that's profound bearing, The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said, but to be added to your testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Cosma. Going to have to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. Could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that. Obviously, there's a problem with that, because if we look at the table, there's only one glass.
Yes!
That's it. Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That was exactly as it was left? That is correct, Lee says. Well, it's odd. Very odd. Dear me, what's odd about is the defense's inability to express itself. Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over her glass of water. But if that's true, there should be two glasses on the table, not one. Ah! You're quite right, Counsel. There's only one glass pictured here.
Objection!
Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking of the over Mitois? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case?
Objection!
Mitois, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed the glass from the table to conceal her presence? Of course not. Would never do something so reckless. But there should have been two glasses on the table. Or are you trying to tell me that you can clink with only one? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Blah 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 blah. Inspector, what did she just say? It would seem that Miss Bright took the glass from the table. What? It was all so terrifying that everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should hide the fact that I was been there at all, she was saying. Good gracious. Sorry. There, as I assured the court before, there's no consequence at all. Oh, please. You must remember that the student has just murdered this lady's lynching companion before her eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or two in her state of disarray? That's absurd. Oh, really? So, do we have taken that you're now to accuse this vulnerable young beautiful lady of mischief? What? No. This can't be put down as to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. Blah 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 blah. It would seem that she slipped into a small handbag she was carrying. A handbag, you say? Yes, Your Excellency. A small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. So the beautiful lady was very graciously explained why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. The student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end, it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations. You've wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation to why she removed the glass. I think henceforth we consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel of Defense, are you in agreement? Well, I don't know really. If you want to pursue the matter further, you're going to need to show it with that it has some deeper significance. You're right. So she took the glass and away in her handbag. Hello, person in the watching a handbag, obviously. Wait, the lady put her glass in the handbag, you say? Yes, do you try to keep up? It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Britt stated the following. There's no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I have a feeling you'd pick that up, too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he then fired that gun, we can deduce that there must have been another firearm. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Did you or did you not search her handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that actually killed the professor, could have been hidden in her bag. No! Order! Order! What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Ouchie? Why on earth would you not have her open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bold bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose the real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Cosmo? Well, what's our situation? Clearly you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I have to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. This photographic print. This print of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Something else. Oh, I never! You can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like this are all the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search her bag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. As you can see, there's nothing to imply her guilt here. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. What? Order! Order! Inspector Hosonaga, you'll submit the print as evidence. Certainly, Your Excellency. Photograph of the handbag has been entered into the court record. I think you have long enough to cross-examine the witness. You've had long enough. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied to say that there is no longer room for doubt in the matter. I must make my ruling. Indeed, there's only one logical conclusion. That the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of the crime. No. Just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say, you put up a good fight for a rookie student, but the weak are meat and while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There's no way to defeat true justice. The fact that you can chew to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to stay in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma, what? Is there really nothing, no chance of turning this case around? You're Knight. You're the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph that the detective produced that we can contest, which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. Very well. We'll now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we will be able to report to the British government in time after all. That smug little Inosuke Naruhodo. When considered all the evidence placed before me,
Yes!
hereby... Wait, Your Excellency. Inosuke. I don't think you can rule on the case just yet.
Objection!
This immaturness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems the trial's over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this, as the photographic print just submitted, appears to have no further significance. There is no longer any room for doubt in the matter, and I must make my ruling. Now, that means if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on this case at this time would be out of the question.
Objection!
This is plain straw clutching. Look at the photographic print. All it shows is the handbag the woman was carrying on the day of question. There could be no problem with the evidence. Better know what you're doing, Inosuke. I understand your objection, Counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone court scrutiny. However, I fail to see what we can glean on the new evidence. My thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of the rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I'm desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about the photograph which just doesn't seem right. So I can put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense of one last opportunity. What? But be warned that if I'm unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Just look at my giant fucking hands, and apparently my mallet is also giant now. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at the photographic print Inspector Hosonaga had submitted. You will identify for the court where the print we see the insignificant detail to which you have alluded. Well, that would be the strange bowl-like marking.
Yes!
Look at this, here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That's true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly, that has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner had also noticed that when he was performing the post-mortem examination, it was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered the burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of the mark. However, as Prosecutor Ochi points out, unless the firm connection to the case is shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on precise details of the burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she can be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. She can't hold you any longer. I'm quite sure the Excellency is about to give his ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Inosuke? Do you believe this burn has something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. If I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I just should keep digging and digging in the hope I uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link the burn to the case, if we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, Counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn to the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. As soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from her face. Really? I had to find some link between the burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what the burn really means. So then, defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates the inextricable connection between the victim's burn and the trail. Well, that's quite obvious. It'd have to be, well, this.
Yes!
What's this, Counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe the photographic prints have an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, things may be overlooked that have been overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. You hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further really would be quite inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have this unusually shaped burn in his wrist? Reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
You can't fool me with your little bluffs, boy. If that's your game, then let's see how it plays out. Show the court exactly what you mean. What is it in the photograph that explains the reason for the burn? It would be this bowl-shaped marking on the plate.
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak is served on. The plate? Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess that's some sort of trademark for Le Carnival. This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Yunosuke, you genius. You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present.
Objection!
But even if that's the case, we can't know if it happened on the day of question or not. It could have been the day before, or the day before that. It most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Auchi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hosonaga? I can't imagine having missed a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not an entirely particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined, as the defendants has pointed out. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific? Well, let's see. The plate was around 90 degrees centigrade. A burn like that would have taken over around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating the restaurant for several weeks already. I've never heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify that without hesitation.
But you're a detective, not a waiter.
Yes!
There you have it. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would have screamed in pain. There's no question of that. The Inspector Hasanaga never heard the professor scream on that day or any other before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on a plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in the restaurant, myself and Sergeant, and the old antique dealer, all of us without question, have heard him scream. When do you agree, Prosecutor Ouchie?
Well...
So the question is, why didn't a single person hear him scream? I almost don't believe it. Inosuke, do you think... Can it really be true? Never dreamt that we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that it may be... We've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think that makes sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn on his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. No man could have stayed silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. It's clearly impossible, apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting... Yes, it's only possible if the man had already been dead.
Already?
Dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to his table that day, the professor was already dead. Yes, the prosecutor was dead.
That's madness!
No, this is Sparta. Got Spartan kicked you now. Order, please. Consul, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot.
That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student. Clearly has no grasp on the facts.
Objection!
No, Prosecutor Ouchie, it's you who has no grasp on the facts.
I beg your pardon?
As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn in the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear that from the witness again. If it's true, as we now believe, the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard, it's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. Sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement.
But, Your Excellency!
The justice system in our country may be in its infancy, But rest assured, all reasonable doubt must be expelled before I am prepared to pass the judgment. Thank you, Your Excellency. What was that smile? Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be delighted to help. Especially if it helps relations between my country and yours. Uh, uh, Miss Brett? You speak Japanese? Well, of course I do. I'm staying in your country after all, you fucking idiot. But then, why have you been speaking through the interpreter until now? My mother tongue, the Queen's English, is the most refined and elegant language in the world. Oh, that's a bit kind of bullshit. Like, we didn't see that coming, right? Like, English person can't speak Japanese. And honestly, the joke doesn't really work, at least in this version, since, it's translated into English. Like, she can't speak English when everyone else is technically speaking English. As a gentlewoman, I try to avoid speaking in your vulgar tones as much as possible. But it seems the men in this land possess none of the chivalrous virtues of English gentlemen. So I can see that I'll have to lower myself to communicating with you at your own level. Oh, well, you're the epitome of a true English woman. We are truly honored by this lavish consideration you always so gracefully afford us. I see. In the case, Miss Brett, I will now ask you to testify with your own words about the events leading up to the death of the victim, Dr. Wilson. So, we're finally going to hear our own words in the matter. Things are getting interesting, Ryunosuke. The victim's death. Unfortunately, I have no idea when the poor man burnt his wrist. When the waiter brought my steak, the professor and I raised our glasses and toast. As far as I've heard, the postmortem report showed no other possible cause of death besides gunshot. If there's some other way a man's life can be taken without leaving a trace, please, do show me. Of course, this country's inferior investigative techniques probably wouldn't pick it up anyways. That most captivating and beautiful testimony will go down in Supreme Court's history. Thank you. Easy does it. I hope this is the last time I will have to sully my lips in the coarse tones of your unbecoming tongue. It's older than you, bitch. Oh, forgive me. I do hope I haven't insulted anyone. Oh no, you haven't insulted anyone at all. Not at all, not at all. It's a delight merely to hear you speak, dear lady. And it seems very clear from your testimony that this boorish talk of the victim's burn is utterly irrelevant. I will be speaking to your country's Minister of Justice about what happened here today. The Minister of Justice? May that irritating little bully of a student be given the harshest punishment possible. Amen. Thanks. Was that a prayer then? Well, you'll have to forgive the irritation, Miss Brett, and put up with a cross-examination now. I expect you've noticed that this little bully of a student, as you put it, doesn't miss much. I'm sure I don't need to remind you, counsel, that this will be your final cross-examination of the trial. If you fail to demonstrate any problems with the witness's testimony, I will be ruling on the case immediately. Is that clear? Yes, Your Excellency.
Then you may proceed with the cross-examination.
Yeah, they do that. Of course, to be fair, it's the turn of, well, it's almost the turn of the 20th century. It's currently 1899 in November, late November. Anyways, all of this kind of just blah blah kind of crap, nothing to present. But this last statement, like, seems kind of a attack on Hosonaga. Wonder if he has anything to say. Inferior? What do you mean by that? In the lands of Great British Empire, please store everything found in the crime scene for later examination. In this country, investigate once, and that's the end of it, isn't it so? Quite right. The Carnival is open for business as usual, just days after the incident. Exactly, which means that even an investigation takes a different direction, vital evidence may be lost. Well, that was a interesting reaction, Hosonaga. Doesn't even occur to your naive detectives to try to preserve the crime scene. I'm trying to be as tactful as I can. You understand? A killer blow. The lady is formidable as she's beautiful. Amazing. It's actually made our police may be flawed. Perhaps Prosecutor Alchi has finally seen sense. I very much doubt that. Still, there's something about what Miss Brett said. There was a moment before when something didn't seem quite right. What do you think, Ryunosuke? I think this is going terribly. No matter how much I press her, I'm not turning up any new information. Yes, as I suspected, she's a tough witness. We need to find a way to break her testimony, or the cross-examination will be over. But what that would mean, I have to find a way. There must be some clue somewhere to help us clink her chink in her armor. Cosmo. What, Ryunosuke? There is one thing I noticed. Something that's been bothering me. Bothering you? You mean about Miss Brett? Actually, no. About the person standing next to her, Inspector Hosonaga. The detective. Yes, he seemed to react a little strangely to Miss Brett's last statement. I was wondering if it might be significant, if it might be present in the opening. It might present an opening, and maybe. Alright, I have an idea. Try pressing her on the last statement one more time. You think so, but this time, instead of targeting the woman herself, let's see what we can get out of the detective. Alright then, I wonder what Cosmo's thinking. I'll find out soon enough, I suppose, once I press Miss Brett.
Yes! Wait.
Yes, there it is again. The detective's reaction is just the same as before. Why? Up until now, the detective has been on the stand with Miss Brett as her interpreter. But things are a bit different now. For this testimony, the detective is just listening to what she has to say. This could be a golden opportunity. What do you mean? When people are actually testifying, they're usually very careful not to let anything slip. However, when they're listening to someone else speak, you'll find they often let their guard down. You're right, look at him. He's lost in his own thoughts. It's time to pursue the man in his train of thought. Sorry, pursue? I'll explain how to do it now. Yosuke, it's all to do with the witness marker. What marker? This one that just magically appeared and totally makes sense because this would totally happen in real life. At the moment, we're focused on Miss Brett, who's not the actual person actually making the statement. By moving the marker left and right, you can turn your attention to other people on the stand. While you're looking at the other witnesses, you'll be able to pursue them with X. If you can catch the person at just the right time, you might uncover some new information. If you ever notice a strange atmosphere amongst the people on the stand, take a good look around. Alright then, so first I have to move the cursor and focus on the detective, then pursue him with it, and see what's on his mind. Here we go. Exactly, which means that even if the investigation takes a different direction, blah blah blah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, what's the meaning of this? You really should see a doctor about that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shock you. He really was lost in his thoughts, deeply. It looks like you were thinking about something just now, Inspector. Perhaps having heard what the lady next to you has said? If there's something you'd like to say, please share with the court.
Attention!
What is the meaning of this? It's the delightful Englishwoman who's testifying at the moment. If you can't find fault in her testimony, then the cross-examination should be over immediately. Oh, is that how it works? Not at all. Absolutely not. The detective is in the stand, which makes him a valid witness. Yes, not to mention that he's intimately involved in the case. Inspector Hosonaga. Yes. Do you have something to add in relation to the statement just made by her? Well, yes, if you don't mind. I would like to speak. The lady is right. A country's police practices are not as modern as those used in Great Britain. Which is why I, Satoru Hosonaga, always strive to make every investigation I'm involved in flawless. What do you mean by that? I'll tell you what I mean. I won't have evidence lacking in my watch. I'm afraid of taking everything I can from the scene of the crime. It's preserving evidence, you see. Yeah, that's something that's very illegal. I'm pretty sure it's called, messing with the crime scene. I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief. I'm not ashamed of what I did. A crime scene thief? Well, it looks like the lady's remarks touched a nerve there. Take this for example. This is the bottle of carbonated water I took from the victim's table on the day of question. And yes, it's lost all its fizz, having been opened 3 days ago. But it was carbonated water. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, there's something left in the bottle. You can see it. One day our police force will be among the best in the world. Ironically, he's not wrong. The time is coming, I guarantee it. Seriously, you really should see a doctor about that cough. Can't say I condone the witness's actions, but I do understand the sentiment. The court will now accept a bottle of water as evidence. Carbonated bottle, blah blah blah. Miss Brett, can you confirm this is indeed the bottle of which he drank on the day of the victim's death? Well, first, we should look at this bottle. Obviously, there doesn't seem to be anything inherently wrong with it. just, a bottle of water. Kind of weird to put water in a bottle like this. So this carbonated water is the last drink Dr. Wilson had. Looks like there's a little left in the bottle, although it's just plain water now. I've been sweating so much, I'm absolutely parched. Just have a sip of this to keep me going. No, Inosuke, you can't do that. For one thing, that's evidence. You can't go drinking evidence. Oh, no, you're right. We don't know what's inside, do we? You never cease to amaze me, in more ways than one. I wonder. Poisoned? That's a very good question. Could there be anything in this water? What's the matter? You've gone quiet all of a sudden. I think I might have just worked something out. An interesting possibility. Yes, it was that bottle. I don't think he drank from the water. It's just, his cough is just, habitual. I mean, I have the same problem at times, especially under stress like he does. What was that about? She seemed to avert her eyes when she answered the judge's question. Also, if it is poison, that doesn't explain how she wasn't poisoned because she also drank from the bottle. But, well, I'm sure we'll figure it out. She seemed to avert her eyes. Very well. Counsel, you may resume the cross-examination. And the inspector will kindly control its fervor. And now, of course, now that we have evidence that there could be a way to kill someone without leaving a trace, we have to present it. What is this? The bottle of water? Actually, there's one method of killing a man without leaving a trace that comes to mind. Obviously, I'm referring to poison. Poison? On the day of his death, we know that Dr. Wilson drank from this bottle of carbonated water. Also, the guy's name is Dr. John Wilson. Like, that's not the most obvious naming convention in the world. Plus, like, just looking at him, obviously based off John Watson from, Sherlock Holmes. And her name's Giselle Brett. Giselle being, the type of bullet that killed John Watson, or, well, didn't kill him. He was shot by a Giselle bullet. And Brett's obviously a play on, well, bullet. On the day of his death, he drank from the water. Could it be that there was poison inside? Could it be that the professor actually died after taking a sip from his glass? Order! 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 And on that day, he was sitting at the same table as the professor and able to slip the poison into his drink. There's only one person who could have done it. Giselle Brett, and it was you.
Objection!
This is outrageous. To success such a thing without a scrap of evidence. You little rookie imbecile. Have you ever even considered the delicate situation our country finds itself in? Have you forgotten that we've only signed a accord of friendship with the British Empire? Have you ever even the biggest inkling of that your rash accusations could jeopardize the entire treaty?
Objection!
This is not a political arena. This is a trial to determine one's individual's guilt with respect to one crime. What? The fact that this woman is British makes no difference. We are here to determine the truth. If I may, I will silence you forever for this disgrace. It is you who should be silent. Of course. Dear lady! Where did that come from? She She just snapped. I'm afraid I may have spoken unfairly before. I offered my most humble apologies.
I'm sorry, my lady. To where are you referring?
I described your police force as inferior, but no matter how inferior they may be, we still investigated this particular point thoroughly, I believe. The bottle, Inspector, and whether it contained poison or not. Of course. You did? Have you forgotten about my guiding principles already? I strive for a flawless investigation every time. I don't believe it. Actually, we tested the inside of the bottle and its contents.
And? What did you find?
I ordered tests for every toxin that is available in this country at the present time. We couldn't find a trace of poison of any description on the bottle of carbonated water, Your Excellency. What? Are you sure? The tests were meticulously carried out by the chief coroner himself. No. No! Well, obviously the correct answer would be poison that can't be found in Japan. I'm very grateful to all you Japanese. You successfully established my complete innocence of this horrid affair. Thank you. But of course, dear lady. The pleasure was all ours. I was so sure. This can't be right. Everything falls into place if it was poisoned.
Thank you, counsel. I think that cross-examination has clarified everything. As the prosecution has asserted, the shot from this gun is the only conceivable cause of death. Furthermore, the accused, who by his own admission was holding this weapon, is the only possible culprit.
I'm done for.
The court wishes to apologize for the great inconvenience that it caused you, Miss Brett.
No. I'm just glad the matter is solved.
Before proceeding, I must ask the counsel for the defense. Do you have any further ado evidence to present to the court at this point?
Kazuma? I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. I have nothing more. Well, if you'll excuse me now, I really must be leaving.
Hold it!
Hey there. Please, wait.
Isn't that... What's the meaning of this?
Forgive me for intruding on the court proceedings, Your Excellency. Sasato Makotoba, Judicial Assistance to the Defense. Makotoba?
In my darkest hour, with nowhere left to go, she appeared like a bolt of lightning. And in her hand, she carried a small package, wrapped in forest shiki cloth. To be continued.
Well, unfortunately, it is getting late, and we have just finished the second section of this case. Tomorrow we will continue to the part 3 and hopefully the conclusion of this case. And hopefully our innocence for obvious reasons. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.